Hey, just while we're waiting for people to drop in, I'm in my workshop and I've been trying to declutter a bit. But what's happened, very luckily, what's happened is I've got 3 guitars that I'm working on for clients. So that's really good fun. So it makes it hard to declutter because my workshop's set up. So I essentially have 5 tables in here. One that is dedicated to where I do my setup work. So it's less dusty. It's got the tools I need around it, and the desk is padded. And then the one that I'm on now is where I do more of the intricate work. It's a bigger desk. It's a good height for working on standing. And then the other 2 are, well, one of them's in the area that gets really dusty. So that's where I tend to do dusty stuff. But at the moment, I'm not doing that. I'm doing lots of oiling and buffing. So those 2 tables over there got oiling and buffing on. But there's a lot of put a layer of oil on, let it dry. This one's spray a paint, let it dry. So I've been trying to tidy up around here, and I've made the decision that I'm just gonna, and I think you do something like this, but more in a more sort of pragmatic way. I've just made the decision that I'm going to bin all the things that have been here for years that I don't use anymore.
Yep.
I think if I remember rightly, you made a video where you talked about you have boxes and things sort of rotate into another box, and if it's in that box and not taken out for a little while, it goes into another box, and that's the sort of graveyard box. And if it never gets out of there, it's binned.
I donate it.
Yeah, donate it.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely. So I have my normal like drawers or my most used tools are, and then they get demoted to a bin that's not far away that I can access. But then those tools, if they sit for too long, get demoted to a third bin that's outside.
Yes, it's
right?
outside.
Yeah, and then if I haven't touched it in whatever, like 9 months or a year, then I'll just donate those tools. And it's a continuous process. It's always
makes sense. I'm not necessarily looking at tools. I'm looking at some of the materials I've got, and also just behind me here, you can't really see it. I've got lots of pots where when I'm unscrewing things, and that's not just guitars, it's anything that I'm unscrewing. When I'm taking apart an old bit of furniture or whatever, all the screws get dumped in there. I had to fix the lock on my door, the screws got dumped in there. And occasionally I used to get those screws out and they'd be the right size for something. Or when I used to quite often make guitars that I would call the apocalyptic guitars that had rusty nails and things all over them. And I'd delve into these boxes then. But at the moment, those boxes just sit there, gradually filling up. I think 2 years ago, I sorted them all out and filed them away into this thing behind me. But I realised, actually, if I'm making a guitar and I'm selling it, I prefer to use, unless it deliberately needs for the aesthetic, an old screw, I'll use new ones. So these old ones aren't really getting used. I'm also aware that if in the future I do need some rusty ones, I feel quite confident that I could do an acid wash and rust some new ones up anyway. So the problem with these boxes is I keep knocking them over. So like once every month or so, I'm on my hands and knees picking up all these screws with my dustpan and brush, sweeping them up. They're just in the way, and there's so many boxes, and I need boxes to put things in. Let's just bin all this stuff. I'm going to have a very heavy bin to put out for the binman next week.
Right. Well, that's a perfect observation. That's exactly what we need to do. Like if you're not using it, you know you're not going to use it in the future. That's the other thing. Like I have a saying, like use it or lose it, right? Like I use it or I don't let it sit. Like nothing sits. I don't have the space for it. Like I think you have a bigger shop than I do. Like I have a small shop, so I have to use it or lose it. That's kind of like my phrase.
It's a good phrase.
Yeah.
I always used to laugh at my dad, who in his garage. So at one point, I can't remember how many years ago it was, they got a new kitchen fitted. But me and my dad took the whole of the old kitchen out and put it in the garage. So he had just loads of cupboards to put all his boxes of things in. And I used to laugh that he just kept all these things for so long that every now and then he'd say, "Oh, I've got one of those when you need it. I've got one of those, and he'll go and get it." But the real estate it takes up in his house for the cost of buying that thing, which probably costs £1 in the shop, but he's kept it for 10 years in a box with 20 other ones, just on the off chance. It's not worth it. I used to laugh at that. But the other day I needed a bit of space to put some guitars in. So I opened up a cupboard and I realised in this cupboard there's 3 shelves, and one of the shelves is a box full of leftover bits of acrylic from where I've cut out pick guards, because every now and then I use that to test on. But I've got so much of it. I don't need so much of it. So that all got binned. I made space for the guitars. Save the guitars. The problem is if the guitars don't go in there, they stay around and get dented. So, yeah.
Same
It's
here.
quite
Like I end up with lots of scrap that I think might be useful, and so I hold on to it until I realize like I'm not going to hold on to it. It doesn't make any sense. And I'm talking about like scrap aluminum, scrap acrylic, also like even like scrap wood. I don't like to hold on to scrap wood anymore, because even though it might be like, you never know when you might need to make some dust, or you never know when you might need like a little bit of a chip to do a repair. And I always think about that in the back of my mind, but in the long run, it's not worth keeping it.
Yeah. On that note, a few years ago for the Jurgs Cup, which I'll mention in a minute, there was the theme of it was use what you've got. And that was my opportunity to use the bits I had lying around. And that sprung up to me now making, I used some table legs to make something with, and now I'm making loads of those because I've quite enjoyed doing it. And I hopefully will sell them as well. I don't know. There's a plan for that. But that was the use what you've got, having left behind. I'm sort of worried if I get rid of everything, I won't have that opportunity to use a scrap of something which ended up being really creative and really interesting and ended up going in a new direction. And that scrap was, the cupboard that I cleared out was to put all of these in, and now I can't get to that cupboard because there's a big box in front of it while I'm clearing out another thing, so I can't show you them. But it was those one string guitars that me and Toby have been making out of the table legs. I think we're going to a show in June in the UK, run by partly run by Simon from 81 Guitar Works, who's been on before. It's a new show, and we thought instead of me taking my guitars along, me and Toby are going to take a bunch of these along and see how they go down. But yeah, that was exciting, having that scrap to do that.
So do you think that like having like scrap material gives you a freedom to do things you wouldn't normally do, or to innovate, because it's not precious in any way?
Yeah, I think that's what I was getting at. That in that case, it definitely did that. But I mean, you and me like to make. You're very experimental, and I like to make things out of rubbish. So it's quite nice to have scrap around. But I guess for a lot of people, when you can use that scrap, I've got lots of offcuts from when I had some body blanks and I made a few guitars, and the leftovers I was going to cut up and stick them together to make a new body blank that's just a hodgepodge of different bits, which works for me, but for most people it probably wouldn't work. It would look terrible, or it wouldn't be strong enough. But it will be strong enough. Ignore that. I mean, Corey's a great example of someone that I don't think if you don't know Corey from Saul Good Guitars, check him out. I don't think he necessarily uses offcuts, but he makes things with lots of different bits of wood, and that's quite inspiring. That's a way of using offcuts to mirror him. I mentioned him. He partly runs the Facebook group. Here's the link there before. I haven't got. I think in the description to this video, I'll drop in the link to the Facebook group. But on that, there's been a bit of discussion about the Jurgs Cup. And for those of you that don't know, the Guitar Builders Collective, when it first set up, was just a group of people that were chatting online, responding to each other's videos and posts on Instagram. Corey sort of brought it together as a page on Instagram, which is still there, which shares each other's work. So the page itself doesn't necessarily produce any of its own content. It shares other content by other builders. So it's a great place to go to find lots of different builders. Chris from Franklin Guitars, he set up a website, a forum, but that doesn't exist anymore. And then Brad from BB Guitars set up the Facebook group. I think that's how it worked. And then we ended up doing something on YouTube. But the Facebook group is really good. It's full of discussion. It's lots of people talking about what they're building, showing off what they've done, asking for feedback, trying to get answers to questions, discussing tools and things like that. But each year, in memory of Jürgen Zoller, who was one of the people that was right there at the beginning in all of that discussion, who sadly passed away a few years ago, there's a kind of loosely themed competition. It's not really competition. It's just an excuse to build things under a theme where we can all be working on a similar thing and share ideas. And this one it's coming to an end in April, this year's one. So there'll be a new theme coming next year. And this year, people are making guitars that are hollow body, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're completely hollow body. Some people have made electric guitars with some hollow bits in. But yeah, definitely go check that out. And, you know, it's not a competition with a prize. It's just an excuse for people all around the world to be doing the same thing and focusing on the same idea. And that one a few years ago was use what you've got left over. And that resulted in me making a couple of these one string, one table leg guitars that I sold for charity to support leukemia research, which is unfortunately what Jürgen died of. That seems like ages ago now. I think it's 4 years.
I'm like totally jealous. Like, I want to participate. I don't have access to Facebook. I already told this story on the live stream before. Like, I'm banned from Facebook for some reason. Like, they won't let me create an account. Like, I cannot create an account, right? So I feel like I'm missing out on a whole culture there, you know, a whole community.
So I tell you what struck me yesterday, and it is this. Maybe 3 years ago, I on my Instagram feed and similar on Facebook, I defriended all my friends that were on there, more or less, apart from some very close friends. I unfollowed all the things that weren't guitar related, and what I found is when I went onto Instagram, all I got was guitar stuff. I found it really interesting because I was learning more about guitars. I was learning more about some of the things we can talk about in a minute that I'm now not learning about, because slowly my feed has gone back to being just totally random things: politics, theology, cats, you know, all the standard YouTube meme rubbish. It's social media meme rubbish. So I've now got the Devil and Sons Instagram page and the Devil and Daughters Instagram page, which I'm using for slightly different purposes. And I think what I'm going to do is just set one of them up so it only follows guitar things, and the other one up so it follows all of this stuff which is sort of a break from the everyday life, the doom scrolling nonsense that's out there. And then I can pick. So what I will try to do is during the day just look at the guitar one, so it doesn't distract me from work too much. And in the evenings when I can't sleep, maybe I'll look at the doom scrolling one. Maybe it's better just not to have that. Maybe it's better not.
Yeah, I don't think you need it. I don't think anybody needs it. I swear I'm like this close to getting off all social media. And I know everybody says that. Everybody says that, right? But like, I'm literally like, I don't need it. I don't. And I already stopped doom scrolling, and I already did the same thing you did. I kind of like unfollowed everything. So I was just getting a pure feed of guitar and metal bands, and it was beautiful. Like, I was discovering so much new metal, and I loved it. But then, like you said, it just slowly creeps back. But yeah, I'm just really thinking about just dropping it all together.
I mean, I really enjoyed it with just guitars, finding other guitar builders. I have found it interesting recently because I'm quite interested in certain things, political things, which I don't want to bore everyone with now. And I was finding really interesting debates and discussions on there. But maybe I don't want that. But what it has started feeding me as well is music. And there's been 2 bands I've been listening to recently because of just random, I guess, paid posts on Instagram. So it's good for that as well. So I don't want to completely get rid of it because there are things
that makes sense. Like how else do we discover? Like, what other medium platform is there for discovery?
I mean, I'd ask my friends, but I'd have to ask them via social media. Yeah. So there we go. Yeah. No. So the bands I was listening to, Nova Twins, British band. They're I don't actually know enough about them. I don't know if they are actually twins, but it's 2 women, guitarist and bass player. They seem to, when I've seen some of the videos, they do have a drummer that plays with them live, so it's not a drum track. But I don't know if that's always the same drummer or not. So I don't know if that person's officially part of the band. But I came across them because the bass player has her own Instagram channel, the guitarist has her own Instagram channel, and I was just watching videos of them doing crazy stuff with their effects pedals and things. And it was just brilliant. So I was hoping their music would be a brilliant combination of that. But I think some of those clips really showed off the potential of what they can do with their effects units. And the songs are a bit more subtle than that. It's not like a Steve Vai in your face all the time. But I'm quite enjoying it. But I think I was enjoying the short 1 minute clips of them just jamming more.
Yeah.
But they are good. It's worth checking out Nova Twins.
Check them out.
So the other thing is, you said off air to me before we started that lots has been happening in the guitar world. Well, I've been trying to avoid social media this week, so I've missed it all. And you obviously have been on it just enough to see some of the things.
No, yeah, just the kind of like basic stuff. Like you mentioned that, Fender has a new CEO, and I thought that was really interesting because he was like, I guess the new CEO was formerly the president of like the Asia Pacific operations, and we don't know the why. Like, why did they need a new CEO, or why did the board need a new CEO? But like Fender has one, and I think it's great. Like, let's see what direction that takes it, because every CEO of every big manufacturer always takes the company into a new direction. So I'm curious to see what that direction is, because like right now, I think someone just recently did the count of the amount of different models in the Fender lineup, and it's like 28 series, like 28 lines of models.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
Like, I mean, and that's including everything from like, the Player Series, the Ultra, whatever, American Series, all the way up to like the Squires. But like, that's a lot. And maybe they need to consolidate some of that somehow.
Now, I'm not 100% certain if this is true with Fender, but I remember hearing some other companies have Japanese or maybe Asian specific guitars that they don't have, that you can't get elsewhere. So I wonder if where they make their cuts, whether it will be just on a general series that you can get everywhere, or whether it be on some of the regional things. Because you were saying off air, quite rightly, that America's got quite a lot of people in it, but nowhere near as much as Asia has. So the focusing on an Asian market might be the thing.
Yeah, focusing on the Asian market is big for everybody. I once, this is going to be like totally a tangent, that not guitar related. I was reading an article once about a screenwriter, Hollywood screenwriter, who was writing a script for some Hollywood blockbuster movie, and he's like writing the script and it's complete garbage. He's like, I can't turn this in. But the producer's like, no, we're going to make the movie. And the screenwriter's like, no, but this is garbage. It's like, it's complete, utter garbage. He's like, we don't care. We're going to make the movie, and then we're going to send it to the Asia market subtitled. And that's where the real money is. Like, they didn't even care about the American audience because it's tiny. It's a fraction compared to the Asia market. I thought that's basically a really great metaphor for pretty much every industry.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, for example, for myself, when was it? 2 years ago, I sold a few guitars that went over to Asia. One to Singapore, one to Japan. I can't remember where the other one went. And it felt like it was going to be a new thing, but then it sort of didn't happen anymore. But one of the people that bought from me got in touch a few weeks ago, and they're really interested in collaborating on a sort of bigger project, because they really think there's a market there for the weird sort of things I do, combined with, he's an artist, combined with the artwork he makes. But to fund it, he was hoping, I'm sure he won't mind me telling you this, he was hoping to sell some guitars that he'd managed to get cheap, or not cheap, he'd managed to get a good deal on and was selling them to a collector. And he flew out to Dubai with these guitars, and it fell through because they tried to like haggle a lot, and he didn't want to go that low. But the guitars he had were all some sort of signature Lemmy Hofner guitars that he'd signed. So he had a limited run of Lemmy basses, which I thought was quite cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
I don't know much about it, and I'm sure he doesn't understand it. But I'm intrigued, and also very disappointed that they didn't sell. That would help fund us doing something together.
Yeah. Oh, and that basically, it's a good segue into like the other thing in the news. This is actually, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but we were told that the biggest guitar collection in the world is going to be sold soon. This is Jim Irsay's collection. I think he owns a football team. I think, but he's got like a guitar collection that's valued over like $1 billion, like a $1 billion guitar collection, including Kurt Cobain's "Smells Like Teen Spirit" Fender Mustang. But he owns pretty much every guitar you can think of, like that has some sort of like cultural impact. The guy owns, and he's selling it. It's like a $1 billion collection. That's nuts.
Wow. So look, this is, I don't know if this will be the case. As you know, my background's working in art galleries and things. And one of the things that I always find interesting is when you go to a gallery collection, you see artists' work, famous artists' work, but you don't see a lot of their great work because it's all in private collections. So well, the things we think of as the great works by the artists, the ones that are in the galleries, but I'm sure there's even better stuff in the private collections. And then sometimes a gallery will put on a specific exhibition about one person. And to do that, they'll bring in lots of artwork, including from private collections. And you have this chance to see these things. And it's great to see those hidden away elements, the hidden away artworks. And I'd love to just look at some cool guitars like that. One of the things that often happens in this country is a lot of the big auction houses that sell artwork through them, and some like really expensive private collection artwork that's going for sale. They have exhibitions in the lead up to the auction, so people can come and physically see the work that they might bid on. And those auctions open to the public. Pre-auction exhibitions open to the public. So I wonder if somewhere there's going to be an auction house with all of these guitars on display, or a lot of them, and you can go around and see the Kurt Cobain Smells Like Teen Spirit guitar next to what else he has before buying it. That'd be amazing.
That would be really cool, but I doubt it. Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
there isn't a thing like a museum for guitars for us all to go and look at, unfortunately. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to love going to hard rock cafes and seeing some famous guitars screwed to the walls there.
Yeah, there was something that came into town a year or two ago. I think I made a video about it. I can't remember what the actual exhibition was called, but they had so many guitars there. And I think we talked about this on one of the live streams. I got to see, not only did I get to see Stevie Ray Vaughan's #1, they had Stevie Ray, but they had like Bo Diddley's guitar, B.B. King's guitar, Prince's guitar, Guthrie Govan. Like they had not Guthrie Govan, I'm sorry, Woody Guthrie. And they had just like almost Bruce Springsteen's Kelly. And one of the things I mentioned when I saw this was I was looking at all the fretwork on all these guitars, right? And no one crowns the frets. Like whoever these techs were working for these, working musicians, right? These amazing guitars, they were just basically flat leveled and then polished. None of these guitars, none of them had crowns. I thought it was so strange.
You definitely said that. And I think that's not just because they've been worn down. I think that's how they used to do it.
Yeah. So much easier.
Have you tried on any of your guitars just flat leathering them, polishing it and seeing what it feels like?
People say the intonation will be off, but I don't know if I even believe that. I mean, can you even really tell if you're playing rock and roll or punk rock? I don't think the intonation.
Yeah, come on, the frets aren't that flat's not going to be so big that it'd be that off. But it'd be cool to see it and feel it. Yeah, Barry just pointed out that Crimson Guitars have their Dorset Guitar Museum. Although
do they have cool stuff?
I think specifically they have kind of odd models and things, not a guitar that belonged to someone famous. Just interesting models and historic models, but also I vaguely remember them having some really cool, more contemporary stuff in there as well. But I've never been. I've just seen it on the YouTube channel. For some reason, I haven't seen anything on Crimson Channel for ages. That somehow dropped off of my feed, unless they're not doing stuff anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything else interesting happening in the world of guitars?
Norman's Rare Guitars got bought out by I think an English company, right? Carter Vintage Guitars or something like that. Anyway, Norman's Rare Guitars is like the place to go to get like a rare guitar, right? Like I go to their website occasionally.
That great social media presence they have as well.
They do, exactly. But also really affordable stuff. Like if you're interested in relatively affordable things, when you think about vintage pricing, like if I see something for like $4,000, that's cheap, right? Like for vintage. But yeah, they have a lot of really good stuff. And Norman, he's been a presence for decades. He's outfitted pretty much every celebrity guitarist, for the last, 50 years. But anyway, he sold the company. And maybe this is good news. I don't know.
So what I know about his social media presence is it has other people in it playing guitars, demoing guitars when they have Celebrities come in, they do a little bit of demo sometimes. But Norm was in quite a lot of them. But I believe he was quite ill a few years ago, or maybe even last year. And maybe the sale of it is something to do with that. Maybe he's
Yeah.
not well enough to be working there anymore.
Yeah, that's it. Well, so the company that bought them was Carter Vintage Guitars, and they also have a really great YouTube presence. Like they have like the same thing, like celebrity guitarists playing, guitars, and they have some quality film work. Like their sound, their recording, their film, everything is just fantastic.
Mm.
But I didn't know. I thought they were an American company, but I think they're based in somewhere in the UK.
I will have to look that up because I'm not aware of them. Nice. Yeah, I'm trying to decide this year what I'm going to be doing more of, and I think unless jobs come in, I'm just thinking about this because while you were talking there, I was just looking at what's hanging around me. Unless jobs come in specifically to do, I'm not going to build any new guitars. I'm just going to try and finish off the ridiculous amount of half-built guitars I've got in my workshop, and then see if I can sell them somehow. Don't know how that will happen. It's getting more and more hard to sell. So in Europe, there's Thomann, the guitar store. There's Harley Benton. There's a few different companies that really support the European market for general access to most of the sort of supplies you want, everyday guitars, nothing that special really, and then their own brands like the Harley Benton brands of quite affordable guitars for beginners and maybe for your second guitar. And I noticed that Harley Benton have on the 1st of February they're closing down their American Reverb shop, so they won't be selling to the American market anymore. They've said they'll carry on with support for any kind of warranty issues or repairs or anything like that. But yeah, it's just not viable for them to sell anymore because of all the tariffs.
Oh wow, I didn't consider that. That's interesting. But yeah, like how can you compete with those giants that are making spectacular guitars?
They're making, at least in Europe, and in Britain we pay a bit extra on them because we're not part of Europe, the European market even. They're still very affordable, even with the extra we pay. So they're pretty affordable. And I think one of the reasons must be that they're not making that much profit per item. They must be just selling bulk. So as soon as it comes to America, it must make it much harder to justify.
That makes sense.
But
that's like a whole thing too. Like I just bought a Chipson on eBay, and you know how everybody talks about how like the Chinese quality control is not quite there. Well, not only is their quality control probably not quite there, but their management and their managerial aspects are not that quite, because I bought one Chipson and they accidentally sent me two.
That's crazy.
I know.
Do you know what? I one of the really stupid memes that got sent to me or fed to me in my Instagram feed the other day were people buying things from Temu and the things coming and they're all being miniature or something odd about them being flexible. But I like the idea that you're going to get doubles of everything.
Yeah.
Double the same instrument, or is it two different?
Yeah, it was unfortunately the exact same thing. Anyway, I sold one. I'm gonna sell them both. Like I just wanted to like document them and kind of goof around with them. This is one of them right here, and they're pretty incredible. Like this is straight up counterfeit Gibson.
Oh yeah, properly.
I mean, but this is like proper like 3/4 inch maple cap. I mean, not a veneer, right? One piece mahogany, not two, one. And then one piece mahogany neck. So there's no scarf joint. This is how they actually built them. Like, this is crazy. Like that you can get this for like what, 200 something bucks. And then they sent me two accidentally.
They're probably still making a profit.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember America doing something about that. When all the tariffs were coming in, I think they raided a big warehouse of lots of counterfeit guitars that were coming in. I can't remember how it works with the counterfeit laws. I know that presumably when you bought it, it didn't have the Gibson, or the Gibson was blurred out on the website you're buying it from.
They put a gold sticker with the brand name, and the brand name was Kathy, which I believe is like the factory it's coming out of. But yeah, that's just a sticker over it. You peel it off, and it then says Gibson underneath.
Yeah, crazy. It's amazing that it's such good quality.
It is. I mean, that's nitro. It's a nitro finish.
Mm.
So like you think about like all the complaints that we've had over the years, right? And then they're self-correcting. So like little by little, they're finally like listening, hearing what those complaints are, and then, you know, correcting them. And it makes sense that they can do stuff like that. I mean, they have huge factories, and they have an immense amount of like manpower.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and another thing that gets fed in my feed is a particular company that makes headphones somewhere in Asia, and they do these comedy sort of adverts for what they do backstage in their warehouses. The warehouses are huge, and they make so many different types of headphones, and they carefully sort of film it so you don't see which companies they're making there. But the advert is basically advertising the fact that they can make OEM headphones for anyone. So if you want headphones, let them know, and they'll design them for you, or take one of their models and stick your name on it. But I think they've just got a massive following now for their Instagram being so funny. But oh god, it's so big, the factory. So many headphones. I just can't get my head around as well how many guitars are being made in that factory. How many people playing guitar around the world?
I know. But I mean, you just touched on like the headphones. Like that type of technology is easy to make and easy to scale, right? I read somewhere like Marshall amps, like their Bluetooth speaker market, it makes more money than their amps do.
Yeah, I think I'm right in saying, and again, as with everything I say, I don't have all the facts, but I think I'm right in saying that Marshall was bought out by the company that make all those Bluetooth speakers, etc., who originally collaborated with Marshall to put Marshall's name on things to help like do a sort of funky brand deal. And clearly it worked for them so much that they bought the company. I liked it so much I bought the brand.
Right.
Yeah, it is crazy to think of you know, a company that we would like. Where was I? I was at a friend's the other day, and their little Bluetooth speaker was a Marshall Bluetooth speaker. I assume they both know that Marshall's a guitar.
I went into a cupcake shop. Like they sell cupcakes, and their Bluetooth speaker was a Marshall speaker. Like, and everything was pink and cupcakey, and Marshall's Bluetooth speaker. Like,
amazing,
crazy.
Amazing. What they want though is the cupcakes and stuff on a stand, and then they want a rack of 4x12.
That's awesome.
I'd buy those cupcakes. Rock cupcakes, amazing. Hey, look, I'm just going to try and move my camera a bit and show you what's behind here. I've started the paintwork. Oh, I can't get the angle right. Why can't I get the angle right?
Oh, right on.
I've started the paintwork on that Dimebag guitar. This is really annoying me. It's mirrored and the camera's upside down. There you go.
Nice.
Quite happy with that's coming out. It's one of those ones where I did it and it looked good, but it wasn't quite good enough, I thought. So I stripped it back and did it again. And the second time, I'm really happy with it. It's one of those things that it's quite simple to do. It's quite a simple design, quite a simple pattern. But clearly, as with anything, the more you do something, the better you'll get at it. And while I was doing it, I was having ideas of how I could make the Lightning look even better. But I want it to look as much as like the original as I can. So I can't do these other things that I want to do. But now I just want to paint Lightning on everything.
Oh, nice. I finished my refinish on the SG. Oh. I'll show you. It's back here, so I got to like get it. Right. So like you're going to see my back for a second.
I'll make me full screen for a moment then while you wander off. There we go.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, look, maybe I can show everyone the messy containers I was talking about before. Look at this. It's literally overflowing. It's sticking out. One knock. Like now when I walk around to this bit of the table, I I take a wide berth to make sure I don't knock anything over. There's a guitar I'm working on just there, and I've got to be really careful because I move anything and everything falls everywhere, and there's a total mess. Right, Mark's back. I'll switch him on while I sort my camera out. Okay. Oh, that looks cool.
So this is originally like your heritage cherry color. And I mentioned this in the last live stream. It's like in the 90s and early 2000s, heritage cherry was like really red, like fire engine red, and I couldn't stand the color. So this is antique Pelham blue. So, you know, the original Pelham blues were blue, and then, you know, you have your lacquer, and the lacquer would yellow, right, with age, and then you get green. So this is already out of the can. This is Oxford Nitro. And doing a refin is like the easiest thing in the world because you don't have to pour fill or grain fill, right? That the original finish is already leveled, right? So all I get to do is scuff it, right? So it sticks. And I just shot the metallic Pelham antique Pelham blue and then shot it with Golden Age clear. And it's just gorgeous. Like you can still see the serial number and the stamp. And it's like the easiest thing in the world to do. It's like, it's nothing to do a refin. And then I got the cream pickguard. So these are all just Gibson hardware, Gibson parts.
Very cool.
Gibson tuners. And it's just fantastic. Like, just transforms it completely.
First guitar I got was a Strat style. Second guitar I got was an SG style because I've got the Strat style because that's what was bought for me by my teacher when I was learning guitar. And then I started to see guitars and realised actually the SG is awesome. And that with that shape pickguard in particular, I love it. Brilliant.
Yeah, so this is like the bat. They call it the Batwing pickguard. The only problem I see with, fundamentally with the Batwing is the pickup height. So the bridge has to be really raised high, and then the neck pickup has to be raised low, and it doesn't go low enough. So what you see is you have a lot of guitarists who put pickup rings on the pickguard because they have to get the right adjustment, because you can't get this neck pickup low enough. I tried to go low and then the screws just fall off. So I need like longer screws, I guess. But I can't get it low enough. And because it's super hot, like I just think that needs to go down a lot more. And I don't like the angle either because the bridge pickup is sitting like straight and it doesn't kind of conform to like the angled break angle of the strings. So yeah, I might just do that.
Why have you not 3D printed something to go inside to hold it all in place?
I just put it together. I just assembled it. And then once I assemble a guitar, I just want to play it. Like I don't even intonate. I don't do anything. I just play the song.
Yeah, fair enough.
So excited, yeah.
I've got to say that what you're saying about the pickup being flat and not parallel with the strings, I guess that's just I don't know SGs well enough to know if that's like that on all of them, but I guess it probably is. And I've been having a chat with someone on one of my YouTube videos where we're looking at I was looking at a Hofner bass and the pickups on that, and just the fact that people are just so absolutely stuck in the way of it's got to be like the original ones were, and the fact that Hofner still use these bridges which are all right, but there must be a much better design out there for a Hofner bridge. But if they put anything on that was different, people wouldn't buy it because it's not the same.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. I'd rather stick. I mean, when it comes to Gibsons in particular, I'll stick with the way they built it, 80 years ago or whatever.
I mean, it's fine. It does the job. Totally fine. The innovations that are on it, that on the different bridges and things you get these days, obviously improve things, but not to it was never that broken. It's improved it a bit, but it's not really going to make a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like when I'm looking at different hardware, it's not about the functionality of it, it's about the appearance of it a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think same here, but I think now I'm really kind of obsessed with like tradition and heritage, so that's now a factor for me too. And then finding things in the right era, because this is like a 90s, early 2000s era SG, so I wanted to make sure, like, did I get the right case? Did I get the right knobs? That kind of deal.
So you're happy with the fact that it's all that sort of period, but then you've refinished it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's flipping cool.
Yeah.
Like it's I've never seen anything like this before. Like, I mean, I haven't.
Yeah,
It's
no, it's very
gorgeous.
cool.
Yeah, it kind of matches your hoodie.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at that.
I could, oh, and my hoodie turns to white at the bottom.
Oh, sweet.
I could
Yeah.
send it over. I'll give it a jam. Yeah, I think those kind of metallic colours are just awesome on guitars.
Yeah. They reflect the light in a way that solid colors just don't do. And I mean, I can't see, there was no other reason to use a solid color. Like, metallic's the way to go. Like, it's just, there's no work. Like, you just spray it on and like you let the metallic flakes do all the work for you. Like, it's reflecting light and looks gorgeous.
I think the way it highlights contours as well is brilliant.
Absolutely. And I just did one can, so I'm just using spray cans. Like, and it's a spray cans. Like, you don't even need a professional setup, and it looks fantastic.
So how did you spray it? If you put the metallic on, then did you clear coat straight away, or did you do anything before?
I waited. So yeah, I read up on the proper way to do it and spray the metallic and waited enough for it to cure, and then went ahead and started spraying the lacquer over it, and then waited and waited and waited before I level sanded and buffed.
Oh yeah, of course, it's nitro. With nitro, you don't have to do any sanding. Yeah, of course. Yeah, nice. Yeah, because if anyone's watching, they really like metallics, but they're not using nitro. You shouldn't sand the surface of the metallic because it gets rid of that gloss, that reflective quality. But if you're putting clear on top, if you're putting different layers on, you need to sand between layers. So what I normally do is I do the if it's not nitro, I do the metallic color. I do 2 coats of that in one session, and then the final coat in a session I put a clear coat on, because then they bond together. And then when it comes to them putting another lot of clear on top in a future session, like a few days later, I can sand lightly that clear that's on top and not damage the metallic flakes.
Yeah, it's pretty clever.
Yeah, I think I invented that idea myself. I'm not sure. It's what I've always done. I must have learnt it from somewhere, but I feel like there was lots of trial and error to get that. Yeah, I do love a metallic. Have I got any metallics in here? I've got one underneath. I've got one that I tried to do a design with it, where I sprayed patterns in different metallic colours. Did not work very well. But there are some cool ones out there that do that. I like my favourite guitar I saw ever live was a kind of orange metallic. It was an SG, but it had like a white racing stripe down the middle of it, and it just looked absolutely awesome. There's sometimes I see a band and I'm not listening to the music, I'm just staring at the guitar, and that was one of them. Brilliant.
Nice. Yeah, so like on the Gibson website, they have like their standard models that they sell, but they also have what they call the Mod Garage, I think that's what it's called, where they take their standard models and then they'll do a custom paint on them. And they just have like dozens and dozens of these mods, and they sell them at a premium. So you're looking at spending like $2,000 over like normal base price. But they're doing a lot of interesting things, a lot of weird things, a lot of things that don't work, but then a lot of really cool things like what you just said. I've seen some of that orange metallic before. It's beautiful.
I'm trying to find the band. I thought they're called Trucker Diablo, but I think that's a different band. Never mind. Yeah, I tried to get a job with a company, I won't know who it is, doing some custom painting for them. And they seemed really keen, but it would have meant moving to a different part of the country. Because they said it just sort of worked out that I was looking to do something like that when they were looking to get a new person in to do the spray work. But they decided they wanted someone in-house because they'd been shipping guitars out to be sprayed and shipped back, and it was just becoming too costly. Yeah. That would have been a dream job.
That would have been awesome.
Right, it's Friday. It's crazy. So we normally do this on Mondays, but we're trying Fridays for a little while. One reason we're trying Fridays is it looked like Scott could probably make Fridays, but unfortunately he couldn't make this one, so it didn't work out. And I've got to say, I feel much more awake for some reason than I have done on the normal Monday ones we do. So maybe Friday is better. I think it's because Mondays normally after I finish work, Toby then comes over and then we work together on these one-string guitars. So it's like a 12-hour day of stuff, and then doing the call. I'm like, oh. But yeah, as I said to Mark just before it came on air, I watched an hour and a half of Traitors. Oh, brilliant! Right. So if you don't know Traitors, check out Traitors. If you don't know the Nova Twins, check out Nova Twins. I think I've listened to their. They've got 3 albums or 2 albums in the EP. I think the earlier ones, the ones I prefer, but I need to listen a bit more. Cool. Thanks, Mark. Thank you, everyone that's watching. Great to see you all in the chat, and see you next Friday.